Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk about our ESXi server's command line, the CLI. ESXi CLI stands for Command Line Interface. You can perform all functions and setting through command line CLI as you would in GUI, in vSphere. GUI stands for Graphical User Interface, and when we access the vCenter or when we access the ESXi server, on our web browser, that is GUI. But CLI is if you want to access the ESXi server through the command line, through the SSH. CLI can even perform additional functions that are not available through GUI. Yes, there are a few functionality, and that's very technical, and only I would say only someone who has a very high expertise should be touching those settings through the command line. In order to access ESXCLI, the command line, make sure the SSH is enabled for CLI. So your ESXi server, there is a service that runs on ESXi, our host, our hypervisor, and that service is SSH. And there are different ways that you could actually enable that service. You could enable it through the ESXi GUI, meaning you could go open up your browser and you could type it in the ESXi IP address, and from there you go to host action services and then enable SSH. The second way of doing it is through the vCenter GUI as well. So on the vCenter, you specify on the browser, you put in the vCenter IP address, then you will pick the host where you want to have that SSH enabled. Go to Configure Security Profile Services and then start the SSH. The third way of enabling SSH for an ESXi server is through the ESXi console screen. The console, the yellow screen, then you press F2, go to troubleshooting options, and then enable SSH. Will cover, we'll go through all three of them one by one. So first one is the ESXi GUI. So if I have to go in, I'll put in my IP address of my ESXi, which is 192.168.19.5. Beautiful. I'll put in the root as username, and I will put in the password. This will bring me to the ESXi server. Now here, if you go to Actions, and you go down to Services, and you will see the option of Enable Secure Shell SSH. So if you enable it, then you could use a terminal or a PuTTY session from Windows to connect to our ESXi server. That's one way. Second way is through our vCenter. So let's go to our vCenter. In vCenter, select the host that you want to access it through SSH. Then you go to Configure tab. In the Configure tab, you come to the left side and then you select the you select the systems. Under system, you select the security profile. When you select it, on the right hand side, you'll notice there is firewall right here. Come down to the services right here, the services, and in the services you have this SSH, and right now it's saying stop. You could go and click on edit, select that service, and simply click on start. That's the second way of enabling SSH. And the third way of enabling SSH is through the console. So you go to the console, let's say you want to do it on ESXi 1. Now click inside of this window and hit F2. You have to provide the password to get into the settings. Put in the username, root, and password, and then go click F2. It was already clicked. Come down to the option where it says troubleshooting options. Click or hit enter, and then come down to the second option where it says enable SSH. Right now, if you notice, the SSH is disabled. So if you just simply hit enter, it will enable it. See, right now it's telling you SSH is enabled. Perfect. So you could use any of the way, but now I picked the last option, the last way of enabling it. Now hit escape. So you could come out of that screen, escape one more time, so you are out and you are on the main screen. At this point, your SSH has been enabled, and now you could open up a putty and put in that IP address to SSH into that ESXi server so you could run the command line. All right, so I'm going to open my putty terminal. And by the way, putty terminal is used to connect to any of the SSH service through Windows machine. If you are using a Mac PC, then all you have to do is open up your terminal. In the terminal, you would have to type SSH space -L space root as the username space the IP address of your ESXi server. All right, in PuTTY, we'll put in the IP 192.168.19.5. This is our ESXi1, and then we'll click on Open. Okay, we got the login screen. Beautiful. It means that our enabling SSH worked. Let me minimize the back screen. Okay, and make this a little bigger. Okay, now let's log in as root. Okay, now we have the shell prompt right here. Now you could type in commands. Now, what are the options available within the command line? So let me go back to my presentation and let's go back to our second paragraph right here. It says ESXi commands are divided into two categories. So when you SSH into, you will see the two different ways of running commands. One is the Linux commands and main ESXi specific commands. Now, please note ESXi and Linux share system management features like command line interfaces, similar file system, tools for networking, monitoring, logging like /var/log, and package management. For example, VMware Vibs for ESXi. Linux supports diverse workloads, while ESXi is a dedicated bare metal hypervisor focused on virtualization. So let's make it a little bigger. So if you just, on your prompt, if you just hit tab on your keyboard twice, 1, 2, you will get the list of all the commands that are available. So right here on, it starts from the left hand side. They are, all these commands are arranged and sorted out in alphabetical order. So as you could come down, you will notice some of the commands, not some, but a lot of the commands that are available in Linux too, like awk, base name, bzip, cat, change group, change mod, change owner. A lot of them you're going to go through. You will find a lot of Linux commands. So if you wanted to see your disk partition, the mounted disk partition, you could run the command df-h and you will see it will show you your file system. Just like that, if you wanted to run top command, it will give you, oh, this top command is not there. The reason it's not there is because it has been changed in ESXi server. In ESXi server, they have given you the command ESX top. That's the command, and that's the command that will give you the ID that is of all the processes that are running, group ID, the name of the process running, and other related information about that process. And there's so much information about this ESX top. People who have some expertise on Linux, they will figure it out right away that what is the purpose of this command. So let me type Q to quit out of that and come back to my command prompt. Also, there are many different commands like cat, like echo. Like let's say if you wanted to type echo and you wanted to type hello, this is the echo, which command brings back what you typed in. So I'm sure if you go through that entire list, you will find a lot of commands that are the same commands that are available in Linux. Let me go back to my presentation. And the next one, when I say ESXi commands are divided into two categories. One is Linux and the other one is ESXi specific commands. What are those ESXi specific commands? So if you hit tab again, you get the list of all the commands. And right here, with starting with ESXi, right here, these are ESXi specific commands. See, it starts with ESXi CFG, ESXi CFG. Now go back up. Let me scroll down slowly. And right here, the entire list, right? This entire list is ESXi CFG and ESXi CLI. See, these are ESXi specific commands. And there's another command that is also ESXi specific command, and that is in this side, which is vim-cmd. This command is used to access all the virtual machines or virtual machine related tasks on your ESXi. Now, we know how to run Linux commands. Beautiful. Now let's talk about running these commands. These commands are very simple. You could run ESXi, CFG, config information like that, copy paste, and it will give you all the information that is related to your ESXi server. It has a lot of information, so it's going to throw a lot of information at you. But let's do tab again, and let's see what other commands are available. Multipath NAS, NICs, route, and VMK, NIC, volume, virtual switch. Now, the next portion I want to go to is the second one. So we talked about ESXi commands are divided into two categories. One is Linux and main ESXi specific command. Second one is ESX CLI command. Command that operates on the ESX CLI. There's another one, system itself, allowing user to get additional information. The ESXi command has additional commands options with arguments. So when you run this command, you're going to find more commands that are sub-commands within ESXi that you could use to get the information about your vSphere environment or your ESXi server. So let's go back to our PuTTY session, and let's say to get the list of everything that is available under ESXi, you just simply type ESXi and hit enter. And it will give you the information, all the information, the available commands that are available after that you could use from after this command, which is device, XLXNet, ESXi, graphics, hardware, iSCSI network, NVMe, VM system, all that information are available. So let's say if you wanted to pick the first one, device, you wanted to know the list of devices. So you type in again ESXi space device and hit enter. Now it is giving you additional information to or additional commands that you could list. So right here you could see available namespaces, alias, device alias commands, driver command to query device driver info, available commands to add a device to enable a software device driver. Now anywhere where you see add or remove or things like that which will change the setting or configuration of your ESXi, I would advise you to refrain from those commands because you are not fully trained on CLI and I don't want you to break your environment. So we will focus on the listing of the commands. So for example, in this case, if you hit up arrow key and now you have two commands, ESXi space device, and now we'll pick the driver, this command, which is referred to as namespace. Hit enter, and now it's telling me another command is available within this command, and that is list. So we will hit up arrow key again, space, and we will do list. And right here it's giving me the list of all my HBA cards or this fiber attached storage cards with this ESXi server. Now go back to our ESXi command line, get the list of all other things that are available. So let's say if I want to check the network, so I will go to ESXi, sorry, ESXi network, hit enter. And now here it's giving you all different namespaces that are available. So if you wanted to get a set of commands for VM related operation, you could pick this one. If you wanted to know more about it, NIC, a port. So let's say if you go in and put the VM. Now it's giving me more information about commands that can be used within these three different commands, and that is list, and we will try the list one. List. There you go. Now it has given me the process ID, and the name of the Linux VM that is running on my ESXi server. So you notice we have the VM called Linux 1. You also notice that we have another VM that is called Linux 2, which also runs on 5. And the reason we do not see listed here is because that VM has been powered off. So if you come here to our vCenter, then you will see Linux 1 is on and Linux 2 is powered off. If I power it on right now, then you will notice that when you run that command, you will see both virtual machines. All right, let's go back to our ESXi command line again. Hit enter, and let's go to this time to system. So we go to ESXi system, and let's see what are the options available. A lot of information. So system boot, operation related to host boot that allow manipulation of VM kernel boot time configuration. If you wanted to change any of the ESXi, the way it boots and boot setting, you could go here and you could also view the existing setting of it. So let's say if I wanted to see, come down to host name. So if I wanted to know the host name of this ESXi server, I will hit up arrow key to get my command back, and then space host name, hit enter, and now it's giving me two additional options. One is to get the name of that host name, or second is if you wanted to change it, then you will use set. I don't want it to change it, I just wanted to get the name. That's why I will put in get. There you go. So it's telling me the domain name is local domain. Fully qualified domain name is ESXi1.localdomain, and host name is simply ESXi1, and that is the name of our ESXi server. Simple as that. Beautiful. Now, if you wanted to shut down the ESXi server, you have this command available, command to shut down the system. I could do it from here, and I could do it from the console as well. There are many different commands that are available. If I go back to ESXi command line, and I'll see what other options are available. There's a system, storage, scheduled. Many of those other options are available, and I want you to go through a few of them, try out yourself, and see what other options available. Now, coming back to our main screen, and just hit tab again. In this one, you will notice that there is another command that is available, which is vimcmd. This is specific to virtual machines that are running on this ESXi server. So if you type vim-cmd and hit enter, you will find that it has other options or other commands available. So if you wanted to know something about the virtual machines, so you will do up arrow key, which is vim-cmd space vmsvc, which is the VM service, and hit enter, and it will give you all the other options that are available within this command, which is VM service. So if you wanted to destroy a VM, if you wanted to get its configuration information, if you wanted to reload that, if you wanted to upgrade that, if you wanted to get the runtime, you could get all that information about a specific virtual machine through these commands. Alright, anyway, the whole purpose of this video that you get familiar yourself about running ESXi CLI. If you do not want to touch it, that is perfectly fine, but it is always good that you have somewhat someone exposure to the ESXi command line. Thank you.